Smooth 98.1, love music, love life. Thank you very much for staying tuned here and welcome to Freshly Pressed 981. I'm Ayo Myro SA. On this morning's show, I have joining me to analyze the news stories. Lakunle Yusuf. Good morning, Lakunle. How are you today?
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Lagos. It's good to be here again this morning.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, if you'd like to join the conversation, we'd love to get your thoughts, your opinion on this. So please help us by going onto our YouTube channel, search for YouTube Smooth 981 FM Lagos, Smooth 981 FM Lagos. And also, you can also use our WhatsApp platform to send in your message. 0809 444 0981 is the number. Again, is 0809 444 0981. Our first headline here: Senate panel rejects Buhari's $700 million loan request for water projects. The Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts on Wednesday rejected President Muhammadu Buhari's loan request to the National Assembly for sustainable urban and rural water supply, sanitation, and hygiene under the Ministry of Water Resources. Now, what did the members of the panel took a turn to fault the loan for sustainable urban and rural water supply for this project, saying that, let me quote the chairman of the committee, Senator Clifford Ordia, that three different loans had been approved for various water projects. And I quote, $450 million for the Ministry for Water projects being financed by African Development Bank, and another $6 million loan under the Integrated Program for Development, also financed by the Africa Development Bank, and the Gurara Water Project. You need to tell us what you are doing with $700 million for water projects. Please take us to the story.
I think the committee have done the right thing at this point in time. Just yesterday, we were here talking about $200 million
Mosquito
loan
nets.
for mosquito nets. So if we keep borrowing, we have a revenue challenge, as it were. Can our revenue pay back these loans? Finance experts have said it's going to be very, very difficult to do. Right now, I think it's for every 1 naira we earn, I think we are spending 97 kobo or 90 kobo to service loans or something like that. I think they've said something
Yeah.
similar like that. Okay, so if you're not taking all these loans, I mean, it doesn't just really make sense. Yes, understanding that water is very important. I can't remember the last time government water, like we call it, ever flowed anywhere in Lagos, in Oyo, I can't remember it last time I've heard anybody say that. Okay, so it's very important to have, but where we are, is it something that we should be doing now? What is the value we have derived from the previous loans that has been collected, just
The
like they've
projects haven't
highlighted?
even been completed.
Okay, so
That's what they're saying.
have we taken those loans? Have we used the money for those projects? What is the update on those projects that we have taken those loans for? Let's assume that, okay, we're going to even take it. We must see the scorecard of the previous ones, that, okay, it is justifiable. If we've concluded those ones, are they profitable? Can they pay back? Can they pay back by itself from the income that's going to be generated from them? Yeah, where we're talking about um, the one financed by the ADB, $450 million.
Yeah.
There is the Integrated Development $6 million loan also, and the Gurara Water project. So if those three particularly, Gurara Water projects, I think that's about the Gurara Dam. The Gurara Dam, I think, is supposed to be one of those ones that's supposed to serve as for irrigation, for fish farming, and I think at some point I did power generation as well. Something I think I've read about that particular one. So where are we with all those ones? If we cannot justifiably say this is where we are, this is what we've done, and this is when it will go live, if it hasn't gone live, I think we should concentrate on solving those ones, getting those ones to the end before going for another one. That's what I think that we should do. I think the Senate committee on this have done the right thing at this point.
Yeah. But I must commend the Senate committee because yesterday, like you mentioned, the Senate committee had also questioned the justification for for the justification for obtaining a $200 million loan according to the Ministry of Health, to purchase mosquito nets funded by the World Bank. And now today we have another interesting, let me not use the word ridiculous, but interesting loan request, which has also been shut down. We're liking this new Senate that looks as if they're picking things out to the fine tooth comb and ensuring that Nigerians are getting the best value and that we're not just borrowing money for nonsense in some cases. Let me take a few comments and then we'll move on to our next story. Emma, I see your tongue in cheek comment. Michael Aditu says, all these loans again, God help us, there have been series of loans taken for water projects. I remember ADB loans on water projects, even World Bank. We need to know there should be a strict measure or some sort of penalty like China where they jail their officials for bribery or misuse of funds. When government is held accountable, then we will have less borrowings and more completed projects. Thank you for this point, Michael. I think beyond just shutting down this loan request, having identified that the previous loans haven't been properly accounted for, we shouldn't just end there. We should also have an investigation into who is responsible, why it hasn't been done, and where possible, consequences for lack of action.
That's where the synergy between committees in the National Assembly has to come in. I'm sure there's a different committee that would do. This one is just a local and international debts committee.
Okay.
So there's supposed to be a supervising committee in the National Assembly to see the projects being done. So this one should be referred to that committee for that investigation to happen.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Lakme. Federal Executive Council approved 621.2 billion naira for NNPC to fix 21 federal roads. Punch. The sum of that, this sum has been approved by the FEC, which the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation will use for the construction of 21 federal roads in the country. We actually talked about the NNPC fixing roads on the show, and now we see that this has been approved. Please take us to the story. How will this work? I know this particular story doesn't give enough detail, but I know that in other, in we've had. It's not the first time it's coming to the news headlines. So please break it down to us again, or perhaps refresh our memories how this will work and what you think about it.
The Honorable Minister for Works, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, has told us here that this is under the infrastructure and a refreshment tax credit scheme. Okay, so it means that NNPC is being treated like a private organization, just like the other ones who've got who's applied to handle roads. We've had Globalcom given to do the Ota Road. We've had Dangote Group do the Apapa Oshodi Expressway and all that. Okay, so then the PIA has given us the confidence that the legacy companies of NNPC are now, in quotes, limited liability companies. So I am assuming that they are applying as a limited liability company to also get tax holidays for fixing those roads. Good news. It means the more efficient use of time and money. If you look at the rate and the speed with which the Apapa Oshodi Expressway was fixed, at least between Omoroshoki and Mile 2, it was done under a year. That distance is at least nothing less than 15 kilometers, so it was done in less than a year, particularly for during the period of the lockdown. I particularly noticed the speed with which it was done. So if that's what's going to happen with this, I think that it's a good thing. We should look forward to this. And like I always say, if it works with 1, 2, 3 companies, I think those other organizations out there who have funds to do this should help the government out and get their tax holidays. And our tax, we always question what our tax are being used for anyway. Yeah. So if instead of paying the tax and then it enters a black hole, they use the tax to help us fix infrastructure like this, then it's a good thing for the country. And I hope that NNPC would handle this. And I pray that the politics of the day in choosing which roads it will be will not derail this because it is NNPC.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. We have from Jane. Oh, by the way, those who are sending us messages today about or reacting to the $200 million mosquito nets loan request, you didn't join the show yesterday. We discussed this in detail. A funny but not funny story. And thankfully, the Senate shut this down and they said they were not going to. David has helped us with the calculation, saying that this would have purchased 43,636,363 nets at the current exchange rate. You're right. Okay, Jane says, please can we find out if with all these ongoing road projects, provision was made for water pipes? Before you know it, water board will come and dig up these same roads for water pipes. Jane, thank you. We've seen that happen, in recent times, and you wonder if there's no collaboration between or amongst the
It's
ministries.
actually a source of income for government. So you
Mm.
see, when your telcos are putting up their fiber cables, there are different rates per state. Some states it was 1,000 naira per kilometer of cable laid. So they are going to dig the road. So the government collects money from them. But of course, when they finish, you never see the sign that what they've done is the digging they've done is properly fixed. And that usually beginning of the deterioration of the roads
Yeah.
itself. So I think that now, I think that most some of the ones that are doing that, they make that provision for such things to happen, so they won't particularly dig up the road.
Thank you. Femi is of the opinion that section of Apapa Oshodi done in a period of 1 year is not speedy. A road that is not up to 12 kilometers. He thinks that they ought to have done it faster. He says they should also allow individuals consolidate their future to execute projects. This would increase productivity in critical sectors. Kenneth says the challenge we have here is that the National Assembly members are also as guilty as the ministers. Most of the projects executed are not commensurate to the funds they said that they invested. So who will prosecute who? So Kenneth, in response to that question, and luckily correct me if I'm wrong, it's the people. We are the ones who should
Absolutely.
hold our representatives to
We
account.
should follow the money.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's
Hashtag
us.
follow the money. Thank you. All right. NDLEA proposes rehab centers in each geopolitical zone. This day reports that the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has said it would establish a standard rehabilitation center in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country to treat the high number of persons suffering drug addiction. Lakne, let's talk for a few minutes about the cases or the picture of drug addiction in Nigeria. The figures highlighted in this article are staggering. And I know we've been talking about it for a few weeks, months now, saying, oh, we have a drug problem in this nation. Actually, not a few months, a few years. I remember the Sweet Sweet Codeine um, documentary done by the BBC and how that took a lot of people by surprise. Sorry, I don't know if we have done anything or we've been proactive. I want to applaud Mr.
Marwa.
Amara for his he seems to be really doing a lot of work in this area. We've been seeing him in the news every week talking about what the NDLA is doing, what they're uncovering, and so on. But if you look at these numbers, it is frightening. And in response to that, having a rehabilitation center in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country sounds like a welcome idea. But is it enough to tackle this problem? And then, if not, or if it is, just share with us what more can we do to contain this time bomb?
Use of psychotic drugs, any form of substance abuse has always been one of those things that I've been um, passionate about. Every opportunity I have to speak with young people, um, I've always highlighted that. Um, you'll be shocked at the numbers. This number that's been presented there, saying that 14.3 million Nigerians,
Mm.
is staggering. But I want to
Let's share
assure
the
that it's
numbers.
even more than that.
Let's share the numbers.
Okay.
So, the National Drug Use Survey of 2018, conducted by UNODC, revealed that 14.4% of 14.3 million Nigerians aged 15 to 64 years had used a psychoactive substance in the past year for non-medical purposes. More worrisome is the finding that among every 4 drug users in Nigeria, one is a woman. The above findings of the survey give a troubling portrait of drug abuse in Nigeria, and one that can no longer that we as Nigerians can no longer live in denial that Nigeria has a thriving illicit drug culture.
Yes, that the number is staggering as it is, but don't be surprised. It is even much more than that. Every corner you turn to, early as 6 a.m. in the morning, start with the motor parks. The supposedly harmless alcohol that they drink. Start from there. The supposedly harmless one shot, this and that everybody takes. I was hit on Sunday by a driver who had school children in a bus. They were coming from a service. The driver was drunk, and all these people were university students in the bus. So it gives you an idea of what we're talking about here. Now, going back to the story, I have a different perspective about setting up this rehab centers.
Yeah.
I do not think that it's something that the government should ordinarily involve itself in. Um, all our general hospitals, government hospitals have psychotic wards and rehab centers in them today. I'd rather they upgrade the facilities in there and maybe expand the number of wards that are there, and then as a side encourage private investors to set up additional ones in as many places as possible, so that for people, this issue, as much as we're concerned about it on a public scale, is mostly a private thing for people who need help to get them in the most discreet way possible. I'm not sure if government is involved in this thing, that discretion will be available for people. We don't want to drive people away from seeking help. I'd rather want private investors find some remote location, put up the thing, have government official in the Ministry of Health or whatever come inspect, put regulations in place of minimums and standards. Let people invest in it, let them do it. Let people who can afford it. Of course, people who indulge in drugs should ordinarily be able to afford these things, and then go there to get their rehabilitation done. By the time government gets involved, we are creating another room or another silo of distrust. I don't want to go there because I'm not sure that my records or whatever is safe, but we would encourage people to advise their children, their loved ones, to stay off the drugs, even as little as paracetamol. If it is not prescribed by your physician, stay away from them. People have slight fever and then they are taking anti-malaria drugs, and all those kind of things. All of it are abuse of drugs. We should attempt to stop doing that.
Yeah. Thank you. I like what you mentioned about the sensitization and awareness raising. I don't think we have enough. So beyond building structures, I think also campaigns. There should be a massive campaign, possibly sponsored by the NDLEA. We should be hearing angles, television advertisements. We should be going to schools, catching them young, going into, and this is an idea for perhaps not-for-profit organizations who are listening to us. We have a problem on our hands. We need to take this message into schools, as we see that the age of these of addicts are reducing. By us going there and have conversations with these young people and raise a massive and run a massive campaign on this one. Thank you. Right, so the Nigeria immigration removes, this is an exclusive from the Premium Times, they've done a report where they say that the passport control officer, the Ikoyi passport office under the Lagos State Command of the Nigeria Immigration Service, Ibrahim Liman, a deputy comptroller of immigration, has been removed. The development is a follow-up to a recent undercover investigation by the NIS Acting Comptroller General, Issa Idris, who disguised on October 18 as a passport applicant and gained first-hand knowledge of underhand deals by some of his officers. I like to read stories like this.
Well, I actually took time to read through the entire story, and I think that the three DCUs that were removed were just simply redeployed. They just removed them from being DCUs, removed two of them to the command headquarters in Abuja and one to Zone A, the Zone A command that oversees Lagos and Ogun State. Um, this is not a punishment. This is in my words, and I want to be very careful in using it. It's a reward for incompetence. Let's assume that as GCO, as head of those passport offices, they were not aware of what their officers were doing. Let's assume that they were not aware. It is an indictment on their leadership ability for not being aware.
Sure.
And there should be some form of punishment for that. So I do not see this removal. I mean, when you see the headline says removed,
Yeah.
you think removed and recommended for some investigation or punishment or something if found culpable. But this just says they were just redeployed to other places. And it is just an indication to the next person who is coming that. So if I do the same, or if the men continue to do the same thing under me, the worst case is I'll get redeployed somewhere else. There should always be, if we say we are fighting corruption, it's not enough to just remove. There should always be some form of punishment to show that this is not acceptable. Here we are. The acting controller general says that he had that they gave him the prices. I'm trying to find where it is on the report, on the story, that the 25, the 32 page, this is it, that pay for 5 years, that you are going to pay for 5,000 instead of the official 27,000 naira. We've had people complain about what they go through when they go to the NIS web portal to apply. We hear people say, if you go there to apply, you are wasting your time. We've had people say, if you go there, somebody will collect, and all the documents they even ask for, they will offer to do it for you. Documents that you should bring, your birth certificate, your certificate of indigenship of the state you claim, and so on and so forth. With a little fee, all those things will be done for you. And people should also be careful that you are putting yourself in the hands of such things. If they say certificate of indigenship, and you don't know, you don't see what has been presented on your behalf. I mean, we all want to get service the easiest way possible, yes. But if you put yourself in the hands of people like that, you don't get to see what's represented in your name. For some time in the future, when something happens and somebody goes to do a background check, and you claim you are from a certain place, but the certificate of indigenship that got to the passport is reading something else, how do you reconcile that? So we also need to be careful not to patronize this. If all of us stayed on the advertised platform, let them not give anybody. But because even us, the people, like we always say, our impatience, our wanting to cheat the system itself by ourselves, and so on and so forth, it costs us more in money, it costs us more in future in other things, and we need to be careful. But back to this story, I think that removing them, let me use that word again, removing them is not enough. There should be some form of investigation. Did they know? Were they the ones who encouraged it? Did they meet it on ground? What did they do when they met it on ground? What did they do to stop it? And so on and so forth. Those are the kind of things I want to hear about the story.
Thank you. Femi says federal neuropsychiatric hospitals exist in all major state capitals, and they all have drug rehab wards. These wards and programs also get funding from WHO. NDLEA had a program which they discontinued for reasons that we don't know. I don't think the NDLEA has the required expertise to do so. They should focus on their mandate, which is to enforce the laws. And the government institutions are doing a decent job at this. I'm speaking from personal experience. All right, thank you very much. Egono says, good morning, Ayo. I remember that in the 80s, there was an effective anti-drug abuse TV series titled Mind Binders. Professor Omoluabi of blessed memory was involved in that project and was successful. We should explore that kind of campaign now because this drug abuse is a pandemic right now. Exactly. I remember TV programs, creative shows done to, I remember even I Need to Know. I know that wasn't about drugs, but I'm talking about creative programs that were designed to to address societal, social issues. And they were quite effective because young people could connect to them. Wale has started his campaign saying, absolutely, stay off drugs. It has permanent consequences. We need lots of campaigns to educate people. It's not about being among the happening guys. It's about being responsible. Thank you very much. Julie says, okay, no, this isn't Julie. Julie from Ikeja says, nothing has changed concerning the passport issue. I was at Ikoyi on Tuesday to pick up my son's passport and was told I had to pay for it to be found. It's been issued since last month, but no one contacted us. By the way, we waited for over 3 months before going.
So let me quickly say something. That I think 2 days ago there was a report by the Immigration Service that they have over 14,000 passports in Ikoyi
Yes,
uncollected.
uncollected.
And I was wondering, okay, so when those people applied, they didn't leave an email address or a
Yeah.
phone number that they could just do them an SMS or something.
All right, thank you. Am I saying that your idealism for Nigerian state is wonderful? That is because of this idealism and patriotism that has kept some of them in this country, and saying that they should please, they've now woken up and they're smelling the coffee. Yinka, thanks for sharing your personal story. He said it's about his uncle trying to apply for a passport, paid off his online, no response, went to the office, met an officer, and they said, Oga, who is helping you? In fact, it almost sounds as if you need to have someone to be helping you if you're applying. Let's move on very quickly. Complaints mount as E-Naira app tops 100,000 downloads. Less than 48 hours after its official launch by the president, the individual wallet for E-Naira has recorded more than 100,000 downloads on Google Play Store alone. Now, they say that they can't find the app on the Play Store.
Well, what does one say?
What shall we say to these things?
There have been arguments for and against the E-Naira from the moment the conception of the idea was announced till it was launched. I think it was on Monday, and a few people have downloaded. They successfully onboarded themselves. Some that I know that I speak with have even gone ahead to buy. And then the debate is, what is in it for the buyer of the E-Naira? Does it appreciate in value? But the CBN has said, look, it is just the same thing as your paper naira that you have in your pocket or the one you have in your bank. In my opinion, I just think that what the CBN has done is just that they have created another channel for transactions, monetary transactions between people, person to person, business to persons to business. I think that that's just what they have done with this. As I think last night, there was this bit that is been taken down from the Apple Store because of bad reviews or something. And I think at this point that Nigerians should be very, very careful about things like that. I know people deliberately will put themselves in a group, and there is a minimum number of bad reviews that either any of the stores will receive before they take down an app. And I'm wondering why we would have done that. If you don't want it, just stay away from it. Let those people who want it have it.
Did they consult the Nigerians before going ahead with
well, in their job as the banker to the government, I'm not sure that it's just a channel for transactions. I mean, you don't need everybody to do it.
So you can't tell Nigerians not to.
And so that's what I'm saying. You can say I don't want it. It's just the same way if they decide to print a 10,000 naira note today.
We can fight it.
I'm saying, and if they print it, you have an option. Don't take it. Or if there was a time we stopped taking. We stopped taking coins, and when the government saw that, okay, it was not. Anyway, the economy itself didn't even support because there was nothing you could buy with the 50 kobo coin normally. So at some point,
we don't accept.
No. I'm saying, look. That's why.
And they're taking down.
That's why it is. But people want it. Some other people want it.
Obviously, they didn't review the site enough to keep it on.
That's saying,
why it was pulled out.
I'm saying some people want it. So the best thing to do in this instance is, if you don't want it, leave it for those who want it to have it. I mean, I understand the point that, okay, you don't want something, you can talk about that you don't want it, but don't go and deprive it. It's not critical to your life, really. If you don't have it, doesn't have anything to, it doesn't remove from you. Yes, that's what I'm saying, that it's a debate that's going to go on, but the thing is there, it has come, and people who would take it, we will. And as it evolves, we would see where the government is headed. The bit about it that for those against, the bit of it that caught my attention is the fact that somebody said, okay, so the CBN has now become a practitioner in the market that it regulates. That's the bit of it that I'm still studying. I'm trying to get people to educate me on.
We are out of time, but just to mention that the Senate committee has okayed 1,000 naira daily feeding allowance for prison inmates. I wish we had time to delve into this and even to talk about the welfare of inmates in Nigeria. Let me quote one of the statements from the committee. He said that we can easily decongest the prison and make it habitable and a place that will truly transform Nigerians, not to transform them into hardened criminals. So making them proper rehabilitation centers.
The jail is congested because the judiciary is overworked and they cannot cope with the number in there. You have most times 80% of people there are awaiting trials.
Yes. Federal government to review license of discos, gencos over poor performance is an indication that in the coming weeks we might have an announcement on that. And then final one, alleged P&ID scam, ex-petroleum ministry director gets 30 million naira bail. This has been Freshly Pressed 981. A big thank you to Lakno Yusuf. The way your sign is as if you've gone through a meal or something, you've gone through a process. But thank you very much for coming. Always a good conversation with you. Lakno is Lakno Yusuf, Lakno 70 on social media. Join us at 8:10. We have a very good conversation. We're having a special of Lagos Talks 91. However, we do believe very strongly that it will interest you. We're looking at the banking sector and how we can make it a better sector. So please stay tuned here on Smith 98.1. Thank you very much. The thing is that what I was saying about the app is that okay, yeah, we are in a certain generation. We're no longer just accept it, look the other way. We're no longer looking the other way. You don't like it, report it. We didn't have reviews and apps and pulling down in the past. Now we do. You can't keep Nigerians quiet. So what I'm saying is that the ones that like it, if they like it so much, if they go and counter it and by reviewing the app, they won't take it down if that's the reason why it was taken down. We're not saying that that's the reason why it was taken down.
That's typically why it will be taken down if you have bad reviews.
Yeah.
If you have bad reviews,
no. The app was bad, but the app can also be bad. So someone here said E-Naira was down because the app was bad.
But I downloaded it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any problems with it.
Yeah, but because they're saying because of the number of people who downloaded. Do you understand that they had? So
they didn't plan for
and they keep doing that. Exactly, you keep doing that. You go to the market. That's what I was asking about a survey. I'm not saying that someone is asking.
The go-to-market may have been.
Did you do a market? Did you find out?
The go-to-market strategy may have been faulty. I think my personal opinion, I think they rushed it. I think that they wanted to that we have cancelled in quotes cryptocurrency, but we want to give you something to replace crypto. But in giving you that, even when I downloaded, there are many things, even me, that I noticed that, for example, I cannot out of my volition say I want to dash you E-Naira. You must make that request to me before I can send to you. You get that's a minus for me already. I should be able to, just like I can say I want to give you money and transfer money to you, I should be able to do that. I don't wait for a request from you. So those are the kind of things that would ordinarily come up, and I think that there's no how people who are in charge of that thing shouldn't have thought of it that way. So that's why I think it's the go-to-market is faulty.
Yeah.
But that we should not do it, I don't think that is right.
Yeah.
I think that if you've just given us another channel of electronic transaction, that's what it is. So because 1 naira paper is same thing as 1 naira electronic naira.
Yeah. My mom sent me a message, said, please me, I will protest by pulling down or kicking against any rubbish central bank or government project that won't bring down prices of food or improve the lot of the common man.
You know that's where
rubbish.
You know the funny thing about it.
This one you're saying that they will pull it down.
You know the thing right now is Nigeria. Nigeria is generally in an angry state. There's nothing you see in Nigeria today that does not anger you. So much that the ones that are good that happens. you don't even give them
Yeah, because
thoughts.
there's a lack of trust as well.
Yeah, that's
Honestly, the government says E-Naira is good. People are saying it's a lie. It's not
exactly.
good.
That's
They're
the
saying
point.
it's beneficial. They're saying it's a lie
By
because they
default.
haven't.
So even
Yeah.
today, if you say our flag is green, white, and green, people will say it's a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we are today in Nigeria. It's and government is not helping us,
Yeah.
because like we said today, this drug thing. We grew up seeing different programs on TV telling
Yeah.
us, even water, government water.
Yeah.
There was a radio jingle about wasting
We
water.
had, yes, we had so many
There
campaigns.
are
We don't
campaigns for
because
everything.
the money that would have been given to campaigns, someone will see it as a good idea to pocket it.
But look at NO. We have NOA. We have, why did they set up VOA? Why did they set up FRCN? Why did they set up Radio Nigeria? Why do we have NTA? If they don't do anything at all. Or you see, they will only show us when a first lady is going to commission
Toilets.
borehole. I mean, so
Misuse
that's
of,
it's
and they get
exactly.
allocated funding.
And these things are
every,
there. You don't.
every
They are not
budget
paying for
cycle.
them anymore. Those guys, NOA, they pay people. They call them, what do they call them? Something outreach officers.
Yeah.
Those guys get salary every month. They're in all the states. It doesn't cost them anything extra. So the communication, and then when they even communicate,
Yeah.
they tell you like they are talking down to your slaves. They are not telling you like equals. And that's the problem I have with them. Look at
They are not telling us like they are servants to us.
that's what I'm saying, that they are not.
They're supposed to be served.
They are trying to be telling us anything as well, because even when they disagree, they're supposed to be saying, look, we know that this is what you think, but you have given us responsibility to think in an alternative way for you. We have done so, we have considered this, and we think that let us give it a try. Some form of appealing way to get people to say, okay, but they come and say, we have looked at this thing, and this is the best thing Nigeria must have.
Yeah.
No. By default, when I was in secondary school, by default, when they say tuck in your shirts, I will not tuck in my shirt because I hated being told what to do. And that's the average young person. Our parents have told us obey authority, obey authority. So every opportunity we have to disobey authority, we take it.
Thank you, YouTube.
Thank you, YouTube. Thank you so much,
That was on
Lakini.
YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, see you guys next week.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.